Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Pastor Jeff. We're going to pick up in Romans chapter 13, starting at verse 11. Besides this, you know the time, that the hour has come for you to wake up from sleep, for salvation is nearer to us now than when we first believed. So Paul is writing, and he says, you know the time, and for that hour has come for you to wake up from sleep, for salvation is nearer to us now than when we first believed. And every day we live, salvation is nearer to us. Every day we live is one day closer to the end of that race, to the end of our time on earth, and to the end of this world every day. And Paul was living in a time where the Christians were going to slipping into a time of great persecution within Rome, murder of thousands of Christians. And so their time was coming, and it was going to get difficult. And it says that the hour has come for you to wake from sleep. And that we're talking about a spiritual sleep here, a laziness. And that's where many Christians find themselves, in that lazy spiritual sleep where I'm saved and that's all good and life is great. And then things get bad and we're not ready for it. It says, for salvation is nearer to us now than we first believed. And that's a statement that's true every day. Every day we live, our time is growing nearer when we're going to be with Christ in heaven. And so we should not live a lazy Christian life, but we should live an active Christian life. And I know at these times when we're kind of all self-isolated, that that we can feel lazy, but there's things we can still do. Get on the phone, call those people from church, and be a part of the body, even when you can't come together in physically. You can in spirit. You can through social media. You can through the phone. You can drop a letter in the mail or whatever. You can still be active. And it goes on in verse 12. The night is far gone, the day is at hand. That means as times are changing, and that is always the case, as we must be ready for the day. We must be ready for the day of which we're in. So then let us cast off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. And Paul, he talks about the armor of God, and that armor of light is just living a holy life, loving God, digging into his word, praying, fasting. That is communing with other Christians. That is meditating upon the word. And there's so many things that we can do to strengthen our walk with Christ. And that's what we need to do. Cast off the things of the dark, or the things of sin, the things before we were saved, and put on holiness, which is the armor of light. Put on goodness, which is the armor of light. Put on love, which is the armor of light. Put on the things of God, which is the armor of light, and cast off the things of sin. You're in a new time. You're a Christian. Walk as a Christian. And it says in 13, let us walk properly as in the daytime, not in orgies and drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and sensuality, not in quarreling and jealousy. See, isn't it interesting how it goes from orgies and drunkenness and sexual immorality, and then it ends up with just quarreling and jealousy? You see, these are all things that keep us from living that good Christian life. Hey, I don't have orgies. I'm not walking around drunk, and I don't have sexual immorality. Oh, but I am a quarreling person. I do argue a lot, and I am jealous. You see, they're not in some way lesser sins. These are all things that keep you from wearing that armor of light. These are all things that Paul's talking about that keep you living in darkness. And even though he gave us this list is to show us that some things which are common, quarreling and jealousy, can slip into a Christian's life, and they keep you from living that life that's pleasing to God, as much as the more serious things. And that's why Paul gave us this list, starting from some of those things we want to keep in the dark to some of those things we seem to be okay with, this quarreling, and we seem to justify it. Well, Paul says, put it all aside. And it says in 14, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no provision for the flesh to gratify its desires. So put on the Lord Jesus Christ. That means to walk with Christ. That it means to daily get up and live a life that's pleasing to Jesus. That means you must know Jesus, and you're not going to know him without the word. You're not going to know him without prayer. You're not going to know him without meditation upon his word. You're not going to know him without praising him and worshiping. So put on the Lord Jesus is to do those things and make that your emphasis. When it says, man, make no provision for the flesh to gratify its desires, that means do not do the things that are in verse 13. Do not submit to the flesh and submit yourself to sin, but submit yourself to Jesus. See, that's a choice we make. Are we going to submit to the things of God and to Jesus Christ? Or are we going to submit to the desires, the deep, dark desires of our heart, deep, dark desires of our mind, the things of the flesh? We need to put those aside and focus on Jesus, because you can't overcome those evils without focusing on Christ. It just can't be done. The time is now. The hour has come for you to wake from sleep and put on the Lord Jesus Christ.